right, back with another college football straight up edition. I'm having some audio trouble here, can't get it fixed, but we're going to roll with it anyway. Wanted to talk today about the second biggest issue in regards to Alabama football outside the recruiting is the quarterback battle. Here's what we know. It's either going to be Keelan Russell or Austin Mack. Barring something totally unforeseen, it's going to be one of the two. Now, both played some last year. Both played in situations where the game was over one way or another. So what do we really know? Well, we know what we saw, okay? We know what we saw, the old Bill Belichick rule. I see what I see, and I go by what I see. So, going back to last year, don't know about much of Austin Mack before Alabama. Don't know what he did in high school. I don't really know where he came from. But did see him. I think he appeared in 4 games last year. And looking at it, he had completed about 75% of his balls. I think he had two or 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He did lose a fumble. 75% completion rate again. He had a passer rating of about 155. Okay. You jump over to Keelan Russell, and he had, I think he appeared in 2 games. He had a really good pass rating. I think it was like around, what did I have here? It was like 197 passer rating. He was really good. No lost fumbles, no picks. 73% completion percentage. Okay, again, these guys played when games were decided one way or another. Now, listening, talking, hearing everybody during this time of the season, which we do, everybody I think is on the Keelan Russell train, and that's fine. He looks really good. I mean, this guy can flick his wrist and the ball goes 40 yards. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But I would first of all stop and say, do not count out Austin Mack just yet, and for good reason. The games that I saw him play last year, he looked very confident, looked very calm. He throws a nice ball. He didn't wow you with anything, but didn't really crush you with anything either. But I go back to the Indiana game, or if you want to call it a game, when we played Indiana, when Bama played Indiana. And he comes in the game, I don't even remember what quarter it was. I'd lost interest by that time. But he came in and he goes 11 for 16 for 103 yards. Took Bama to its only points. You say, well, Indiana has backups in. Well, Alabama had their backups in too. He still moved the team down the field really, really well. Looked very comfortable. Quite honestly, quite frankly, looked a lot more comfortable in that game than Ty Simpson ever did. It looked to me like Ty was pressing, Ty was nervous, Ty was out of sorts. Just didn't look good that day. And again, he's coming in, the game's decided. There's not a whole lot on you, just play, and he just played. So, all I can go by is what I've seen. Now, Keelan didn't get to play in that game. And again, I haven't seen enough of each one to speak really well to it, but I have, and of course, did go to the spring game and have saw one practice. And here's what I take away from what I've seen. Mack, more steady, probably not going to give you the super plays, the great athletic plays. Keelan's a versatile player. Again, great arm, super talented, but looks very raw to me. Looks very raw. He reminds me of like when Tua got to Alabama. All the talent in the world that there was, but he was just raw. So it looks to me like you're going to get this one guy that can be productive, isn't going to wow you with a lot, but ain't going to crush you again either. And then another guy that we're going to have bigger plays, more dramatic plays, but could have that mistake thrown in there. Okay? I tend to go with the guy that's more steady. Okay? That's just me. And again, the last 3 years, watching Alabama's quarterback play, I thought it followed a script with Milroe and Simpson. Good play, great play, bonehead play. Great play, pick. Great play, good play, strip sack. Just for every good play, there was something that just set us back, kept the team in the game when they shouldn't have been, made it hard for us to come back, when we should have probably. Great guys, great quarterbacks, all that good stuff. But it just seemed like we were, a lot of times, it was just all or nothing, okay? The biggest thing is mistakes. And I want to go back to something somebody said by the name of Steve Spurrier, who you will hear me talk a lot about. I have great respect for this man. Went to a program in Florida that had honestly really never won anything. Middle of the pack, Peach Bowl-ish kind of team. At that time, Peach Bowl was nothing. And was listening to an interview before the 1990 season. Again, didn't know him much about him. Knew he'd played at Florida, knew he'd coached at Duke. He was New Florida's coach, and we're going to have a same old 6-win Florida. And I'm listening to him in the 1990 interview right before the season starts. And they're talking to him about his quarterback. Now, Spurrier had great quarterbacks at Duke. And was it Steve Dills? I think Billy Ray was there for a while. And he had made these guys very, very productive. And they asked him about his system, about his scheme, how complex it was, and pass first, and this, that, and the other. And he kind of looked at the guy in the old Spurrier way, and he said, it's really not that complex at all. I go back to my days in Johnson City, Tennessee. We're playing out in the backyard, and if the DB comes up on the receiver close, well, we throw it over his head. If he backs off 5 yards, then we do a 5-yard curl and throw it in front of him. That's pretty much it. Excuse me. And if you go back and you look at, especially his first couple of years, he's in this same interview, and he had picked a quarterback that honestly nobody ever heard of except for something bad. I think he was suspended the year before for something he shouldn't have been doing. I don't even remember what it was. But I don't think Florida fans were even very familiar with him. He's a guy named Shane Matthews. He's from Pascagoula, Mississippi. Don't know much about him. But he wins the starting job in the offseason, in the summer. And as Spurrier said, how did you pick Shane Matthews out of these guys? The coaching staff before Steve Spurrier had done a really good job recruiting. Really good job. And how'd you pick this guy? And Spurrier said something. He said, Shane, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember word for word, but he said basically, Shane doesn't screw up. He doesn't fumble snaps. He doesn't get us in bad plays. He doesn't throw bad balls. He just moves the offense. That's it. The point being there is, I think a lot of times we try to make this thing too complicated. And we get these guys and this, that, and the other, and the schemes, and he's better at this, and we're going to do this, and all these route concepts and all this stuff. When Spurrier got to Florida, he basically had like 5 routes that he ran. He ran, especially with Matthews. He ran the corner routes, he ran the post routes, He ran a little delay to the tight end. He ran a little swing past Eric right out of the backfield. And he ran what you call high-low, where two receivers on one side. One runs like a 15-yard out, 17-yard out, and the other runs like an 8-yard out. The safety/corner has to make a decision which way to go, and they would run that a lot. Just the same plays over and over and over and over again. Danny Werfel was a little different quarterback. He was more of a deep ball thrower, didn't really quite have a strong arm to gun it in there, but could throw it over people's heads. So, going back to the mistake thing Spurrier was talking about, and just going back and looking over the last few years, in quarterbacks especially, in 2022, 2023, Jalen Milroe had 6 interceptions, 2 fumbles. That's not too bad. I mean, you can kind of live with that. 2024, 11 interceptions, 3 fumbles. 2025, Ty had 5 interceptions, 3 fumbles. Okay, not too bad. 2024 really needs to go away, but the other years weren't just awful. So that's a total of 22 picks, 8 fumbles over 3 seasons. Now, let's put this into a little bit of perspective for you. Okay? I'm going to bring up 2 other guys that played at the university. A.J. McCarron. A.J. McCarron started for 3 seasons, right? Played 4, sparingly in his first year, started for 3 seasons. As I mentioned, we had 22 interceptions in 3 seasons between the 2 quarterbacks. A.J. McCarron had 15 career total interceptions. 15 for his career, including his freshman year when he did appear in some games. And he lost 5 fumbles in his career. So that puts it into a little bit of perspective. I know he wasn't throwing the ball 60 times a game. And I know he also had guys like Barrett Jones up in front of him. And he has some pretty good running backs, I guess you could say. Let's look at another guy, Tua Tagovailoa. He started for 2 years. In those 2 years, he had 11 picks and 3 fumbles. It's really, really, really good. What's even more impressive is 87 passing touchdowns during that time. So the point here being is I've watched games the last couple of years. You go back to the Michigan game. Let's see, it was the Michigan game where we turned the ball over, I think, 3 times in the first 9 plays by the quarterback. Oklahoma games, I mean, where we've just turned the ball over too much, strip sacks and balls getting punched out, just turning the ball over too much. And it's not always the best guy, the most talented guy. It's the best quarterback. Got asked the other day, who's the most talented quarterback ever played at the University of Alabama? And I say Tua Tagovailoa. Period. End of story. Nobody. The prettiest throwing motion this side of Dan Marino, the prettiest ball this side of Dan Marino I've ever seen thrown. Oh, they said, well, who was the second best quarterback? I said, I didn't tell you who the first best was. I said, well, you just said Tua. I said, no. Tua was most talented. He wasn't the best. They said, well, who was the best? I said, to me, A.J. McCarron was the best, followed up by Bryce Young and Mac Jones. They were the best quarterbacks. And, of course, I got that confused look. But this is what this is. People look at talent and talent and talent, and, they say, well, he's got all this talent, yeah, but he's raw. This guy right here may not be as talented, but he may be more steady. That's why I'm sort of thinking, don't count out Austin Mack. First of all, Kalen DeBoer thinks the world of the guy. Okay? He's got pretty good size. The arm's adequate. Speed looks adequate. Just think that he's going to be the guy when it's said and done. And I hear people say he'll start the season, but Keelan will eventually be the, well, if that happens, then we've gone into the tank because you never change quarterbacks if you're winning. So if that happens, then we're in trouble. But it's just my take. Keelan may be all those things too. I don't know. I'm just telling you from what I've seen with very, very limited exposure to either one, just what I saw in games last year, what I saw in the spring games, seeing one practice, things like that. Don't count Austin Mack out yet. And I got to be honest with you, I'm very excited to see both these guys play. I think that they've both got talent. I think that they're both very, very they're both very, very explosive, I guess is the word. And I'm anxious to see what they do. And we're going to find out. Hopefully, there's no injuries like the unforeseen stuff I was talking about. We don't have any injuries, and somebody has to play that probably wouldn't have played, and things like that. And also, how they go to is dependent on how the offensive line goes, how the running game goes, which those are different topics, how good the receivers are. But I think that we've got a situation here where both guys are good enough to win, and just want to see them on the field. I want to see the best guy, and I want to see the guy that's not going to make the mistakes, the guy that's not going to turn the ball over, the guy that's going to, if we punt the ball, we punt the ball. If he takes a sack, he takes a sack. But we're not getting sacked fumbling at 10 yards behind us, or getting a turnover and immediately throwing an interception back across the middle to a guy that's triple covered. So just hoping we don't see that. That's just, quite frankly, we've had too much of that the last 3 years. It's killed us in some games. It's put us in big holes we couldn't come back from, things like that. So probably for the first time in a long time, I am excited about the preseason competition, and looking forward to it. That's going to be it for this one. I hope you folks have a good night wherever you are, good day wherever you are, and we will talk to you next time.